Welcome back. This segment is entitled Men, Women, and Cognitive Dissonance. Perhaps you recall in the section when we were filling out the assessment, I mentioned that in this aspect of personality, gender plays a role. I work with many different aspects of personality and many different personality styles, and this is one of the only major dimensions where gender comes into play. So we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at the differences between how men and women score on this assessment and its implications in the workplace. When people are talking about the differences between men and women in general, just colloquially, walking down the street, at the movies, they'll talk about typical traits that they think women have and typical traits that men have. And more often than not, these aspects of personality that people are generalizing to describe differences in the genders are really about the thinker-feeler dimension. So let's look at the breakdowns in percentages for men and women in the thinker-feeler dimension. And then we'll talk about how this impacts men and women as leaders at the workplace. In the general overall population, 56.5% of men type out primarily as thinkers, and 43.5% of men type out primarily as feelers. And all these percentages, by the way, are taken from Consulting Psychologist Press, which is a very well-respected organization that does a lot of research in this aspect of personality assessments, and they update them regularly. That said, the general breakdowns don't change significantly over time, just incrementally. For women, 75.5% of women primarily type out as feelers, and 24.5% of women type out primarily as thinkers. So why does this matter, and how does it come into play in terms of cognitive dissonance? Perhaps you remember from a psychology class you might have taken in college that there's something called cognitive dissonance. Let me refresh your memory about what this term means. Cognitive dissonance means our brains really want to be right, and they'll go into overdrive to maintain a belief until they finally accumulate enough information that proves that what they originally thought may be wrong. So, if I have the belief that the traits that I read about that describe a feeler really means that that person is female, and the traits that I read that describe thinkers really is equivalent with saying that person is male, then if I meet a woman who's this primary thinker and a man who's a primarily feeler, my brain gets confused. And what it will do is to try to prove something's wrong with those people